Mullen keeps surprising investors with one good news after another. So, what did they do this time and should you buy the stock? Sit tight as we take you through the good news as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stocks 101 for regular stock market updates. Mullen announced yesterday that they have erased $13 million worth of debt from the company, and with this milestone, their debt has dropped from $30 million last year to less than $10 million at the present time. The company keeps strengthening their finances, and this debt reduction rid them of $3.5 million in interest expenses. David Michery, who's the CEO and chairman of Mullen Automotive, has said that 2022 has been great for the company and that they've improved their financial health with the aim of being a debt-free company in the coming years. As for the price action, the big rally ended a few days ago and MULN fell to a price of $0.3588 at Wednesday's market closing. But Thursday's pre-market is responding well to this news and the stock is up 5% to a price of $0.3770. With all that in mind, let's analyze the charts. So as you guys can see right here, we're now in the one-day chart for MULN, and of course, the gap up was supposed to be at $0.3770 somewhere around here, but we opened instead in a gap down at the price of $0.34 pretty much, right? So that's 34 cents. This was mainly due to, Jeremy Powell saying that the Fed probably won't stop hiking interest rates until the inflation and all of that stuff is finally under control. This led the entire market to crash. As you guys can see over here, pretty much all of the stocks are crashing, right? So that's obviously a bad factor. But as we already discussed, Mullen did have some good news, and that makes it just a more attractive buy in our opinion, right? This, of course, is because of market conditions and not necessarily because of Mullen's own price action. If we look at the price action as well, this kind of makes sense considering the fact that we were kind of inflated over here, right? So I already told you guys in my previous analysis that we'll probably get back to the $0.3 range, and well, we did, right? So I guess that since we're making a pin bar candle over here on the upside, if we make a pin bar on the downside in the next day, we'll probably get back to the $0.3 range. Once that is done, we'll probably start to see the stock getting a bit more stable. Of course, we have the strikingly different tour going on, so the company most definitely will give out announcements, news, all of that stuff, numbers, statistics, right? They will help the stock go up further, and they probably won't let the stock settle down at a specific price range, at least for now. But of course, that's a good thing as well, considering the fact that a lot of people who trade, or rather just use this financial instrument known as MULN, there are a lot of intraday traders, right? It's not only people like you and me who are just thinking like, hey, I'm going to hold this stock until eternity, right? That's not the case. A lot of people come in, right? They buy the stock, they sell the stock the same day. That's called intraday trading. Of course, you know that, right? So this volatility is important for those people, and they're important too for the volume part to be okay. And of course, if we look at the long-term price action, we did get inflated over here. We got deflated now, and it should probably get better from here onwards, and we should be able to get back into the $0.4 range if, of course, the Fed doesn't make things worse for the market, which they probably will, considering what they just said. Now, if we think, or rather talk about the earnings report, right, we believe that the earnings report might actually be at par or rather beat the estimates, and that, of course, would be a good thing. It probably will be a loss, of course, in LPS instead of an EPS as such, but the revenue part might actually beat it because we already discussed the fact that pre-orders and registrations have topped, right? They've gone up by a lot, and considering the strikingly different event, the company should be getting better revenue as such. And if we consider, of course, bigger deals as well, the fact that they've gone down by on their debt, the earnings report will at least have some good things to look at, if even we get beaten down on the revenue and the EPS. Does that mean you should buy the MULN stock? Well, not necessarily. Now look, the stock, of course, it's very risky, right? That does not mean that the stock cannot go up, but of course it's very risky, so it can go down as well. If you're willing to take the risk, sure, it's a good stock. If you're not, I'll probably stay away from it, right? So the real question is, am I buying the stock? I personally am waiting for the stock to go down, as I already told you, in the $0.3 range, which it probably will, because as I already told you on Monday, that the stock will get a fall into the $0.35 range, and it did. So I guess, or rather, I'm betting on my gut feeling that the stock will go up. But as for now, we can see that we're kind of holding this range of 0.35 and 0.34. So let's see where this heads. But of course, I don't believe there's much left to analyze in the 1 day chart. So let's quickly move on into the 1 hour chart. If we look at the 1 hour chart, we can see that we have a very strong level around 0.363, or rather 0.363 to the $0.365 range. We have another level on the upside. This, of course, is a resistance around 0.37, as well as around 0.382. So if we look at the current levels, of course, we'll have to go down, or rather go back a lot. So we can see that we do have another support coming up around 0.3260. That's exactly where we bounced off, right? We do have another support around 0.3365, and we do have another support around $0.3125, right? If we talk about resistance, right, current levels, we can see that we do have a resistance around 0.355, and we also have a resistance around 0.344. So we can see that we're probably getting resisted by these levels. We have another one which is not that significant around 0.346. So this might be acting up, but you can't really predict which resistance is acting up, right? It just might be that the buyer volumes are weak, but even if we take a look at it that way, the stock still kind of is underperforming, and it will likely continue the bear run for the short term. With that, as you guys can see, we have a single 1 hour candle, so I believe we should probably get on the 5-minute chart to analyze the stock in more detail. So now that we're in the 5-minute chart, of course, we can see a lot more detail, and right here we can see why this uptrend started and where we could have predicted it, right? If we look over here, we got somewhat of an inside candle, right? It was pretty much just indecision between buyers and sellers, but the sellers did win. We got a pin bar to the lower side, a pin bar to the upper side, another pin bar to the upper side. So this pretty much was the perfect entry point, right? The moment that we broke this area right here at $0.334, it was a pretty good entry point, and the stop loss would have been somewhere around 0.3292, or just $0.33, and the double of that would have been the target, right? So 0.3342, 3392, or rather 3292. That's a 0.50 difference, I guess. So a 0.100 difference on the upper side would give us 0.3442, and it was pretty much achievable in just the matter of 2 candles. If we look at the current price action, we can see that we did get a pin bar on the upper side, or rather the lower side, right? It was in the green, but so that kind of indicates that there still is buying pressure, and buyers are pretty much stopping the bears from sending the stock any further below. But of course, if we don't get a pin bar over here followed by a green candle, we probably will go down, right? We can see that we made a top around the level of $0.359, which of course is just the barrier for the $0.36 resistance. So if we look at this candle over here, right, this probably will be the decider as to where we are headed. If this is negative, we'll probably go down. If this is positive, we'll probably go up. With that, my view remains short-term bearish and long-term bullish for the MULN stock. And of course, this definitely was not financial advice, and you should always do your own research before you trade. If, however, you enjoyed my analysis, which I hope you did, you should probably hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, you can definitely hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel, Stox 101, for more such videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.